If he throws a touchdown in the next game, it will be his first NFL career passing touchdown. The Malik Willis era, like no matter what, it's going to be a disaster for the. Now the reality is, you could hand off the ball. You could go to a predominantly running. You could go to a game manager style, and that's might work. You might be able to squeeze out a win there. That might work out for you. The one Mayo man did not win. The other Mayo man did not win. But you know what, Eric? Malik Willis threw his first NFL touchdown. He was a game manager. So you know what? I declare Mayo Monday.
That's fantastic. Good for him.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Let me tell you. Sweet. He was able
Who had on their bingo card that the Patriots would be 1-1. Malik Willis would be 1-0 as a starter on the season. Deshaun Watson would have a bounce back game, and he gets in the win column.
Relatively speaking,
and I'm still sitting here with my team at 0-2.
I blame Eric somehow. I'm not sure how.
Football.
Listen, I'm not sure how, but if I were you, I would just blame Eric. The point is, I've declared Mayo Monday because it is still a moment for celebration. My quarterback did game manager stuff. It was good enough. He got the job done. Hey, his QBR was 82.4. That's actually pretty good. That's what happens when you don't throw the ball that much. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about a little bit of week 2 NFL stuff, and then we'll shift over to talking about the card show that I was at. We'll also do fun, silly card of the week. We'll give the results, and then we'll also do it. I'll go through a couple of the comments from the last one, and then we'll basically chat about a couple of the collection-related things. It'll be a little bit of a mishmash, but the majority of it will be related to the card show on this wonderful, glorious Mayo Monday on this episode of the BIC podcast. Now, I think the best part about it is that in this episode, I think we established a new canon that while we prefer to see one of the Mayos win, I think Mayo Monday is a state of mind. Oh. Yeah, I think if there's cause for celebration, it is Mayo Monday. I think we just need to go with it. In this case, congratulations to Malik Willis. My quarterback did not completely doom me. They did do though. Kind of what I touched on. So that's why I played the clip off the top, because the second clip in particular is that, yeah. Now, what's funny about it, and this is bad for the Colts, by the way. This is actually a bad thing for the Colts. Everybody and their brother knew that the only path to victory, really, was that Malik Willis was not going to be throwing the ball 40 times. That wasn't going to happen. If he was throwing the ball 40 times, that would lead to disaster. A Hindenburg-like ending, if you will. It would just be bad. However, throwing the ball 14 times and completing 12 of those, that'll do. Almost 86% completions. That's fine. I can accept that. It was the running game. So, and you did exactly what you needed to do. It was the running game. You controlled the clock. You controlled the ball. And that was about all you needed to do. That was it. You didn't need to get fancy. You didn't need to do anything crazy. It was just don't make a critical error. And look, on that QBR rating, it was 82.4. Now, we did have someone, and I'll get to that in a minute. We did have someone who had a QBR rating lower than Deshaun Watson. Someone who no longer has a job right now, who was benched as of, I think, today, who had such a low QBR rating. It was lower than Deshaun Watson. It was lower than basically everyone. Tragic. Truly tragic. I'll tell you what I didn't have on a bingo card, though. I am pleased with the Packer win. That is why I've declared Mayo Monday. It is a state of mind. But I will say, I did not have the Minnesota Vikings being 2-0. I did not have the resurgence of Sam Darnold lasting another week. I do have more Sam Darnold cards, which I am now incredibly tempted to list, like, with the quickness. I may do so in short order. Minnesota, I got some cards you may want. People, praise your new god and buy my cards. Just throwing it out there. Just thought
he beat Purdy.
He did. He beat the Purdy party. Hey, San Francisco is a legit team. We do know San Francisco is a legit team. So look, we live in a timeline where Sam Darnold was able to quarterback a team to beating San Francisco. That's a little bit shocking.
I don't know if I want to live in a time like that, though.
It's very scary. It's a very scary time.
Yeah,
I will say, Yeah, I don't know. But look, stuff happens. It's that is one of the situations. One other thing I didn't have on the bingo card was look, Dallas is not good, but they got demolished by the freaking Saints, man. I'm a little uncomfortable with this. I'm not a fan. Not into it. I'm a fan of Dallas losing, but the other
I'm a
part not
huge
so much.
fan. I've always been a fan of Dallas losing my entire life. So every time they lose, especially in an embarrassing way, an angel does get their wings. So it's good.
Yeah. So we have that.
I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, on the bingo card side of things, I did not have Travis Kelce at 3 catches for 34 yards on the season so far after 2 weeks. That's a bit surprising.
Well, I think so. Look, I'll say this: I haven't had the chance to watch both Chiefs games in their entirety. I did watch a little bit of them. He was starting to struggle a little bit last year, so it was slowing down a little bit. Now, I think also one factor that we would want to consider is that it's not like Mahomes is necessarily like he's playing well, but they're not lighting it up. Like it's not like they're going absolutely crazy all across the board. It's one of those things where I feel like right now. I don't think anybody's really running away with it. Like there are some teams that have come off, had some good games. But let me ask a question. I'll ask both of you guys. Do you feel like there has been from a quarterback, any team that you want, that has had like an amazing, ridiculous stand-up performance? Like there have been teams, because I'm looking at the yards passing and all that. I don't feel like I've seen any crazy stat lines. Baker had a 4-touchdown game. Very impressive. But it was a 4-touchdown game. But check out the amount of yards on it. It wasn't crazy. It was 4 touchdowns, very effective. Let's put it this way. Baker was extremely effective, but I'll say this. He's tied for first in the league with 5 touchdowns, which is very good, but he had 4 touchdowns in one game. And they're 2-0. So like, you're not complaining if you're Tampa. Like this is good. This is they're getting really solid play from him. And Detroit is a legit team. They were in the NFC Championship last year. Like it's not like you beat, a jobber here. You beat a decent team. So it looks like Baker has solidified himself in Tampa as being their guy. Good for him. Like I said, Sam Darnold has had 2 very solid games. Very good. You can't knock it. I may not be a Vikings fan, obviously with the division being, but look, I'm glad Sam Darnold has been able to find something. But you know what's funny about mentioning Baker and Sam Darnold back to back? They were both formerly Carolina Panthers within the last 2 seasons. I think it was 2 years ago they were both on the same roster. Both guys were. The Panthers are real bad.
Yeah. And they got rid of 2 quarterbacks that are being successful right now.
Yeah, there are 2 starters in the league right now. Were on your roster, I think, 2 years ago.
So I pulled up Baker's stats from yesterday.
Sure.
How do you beat? Because you mentioned the Lions are a good team.
They were in the NFC Championship last year. Yes.
So Baker completed 7 passes. 7 of those was to one receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then the alarming statistic here is Baker led the Buccaneers also in rushing.
Yeah.
With 34 yards.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like they're playing well enough to win. But that was why I say my point here is he is tied for the league lead in touchdowns on the strength of the 4-touchdown game. They won this game. They're 2-0. Full credit to them. My point is, I don't think most of the quarterbacks, through 2 games, nobody is really standing out. Like nobody is really like setting the world on fire. Stroud struggled last night. So like you're looking at all these quarterbacks and you're thinking, oh, well, you're seeing scores and you're seeing these big things, but nobody is like blowing anybody away. There are actually a lot more mediocre performances or kind of average performances than there have been like these standout blowout. You're remembering right now, if I ask you to think of a quarterback performance, you're more likely to think of, oh man, what a disaster this one was. What a disaster this game was, or, this one wasn't so great. The darkness won the game, had a couple of great throws, but go look at the stat line. He was under 200 yards.
Well, I'll answer the original question this way. If you look at it with having 0 expectations,
sure,
0 for the entire season, not just a game. If you look at it through those rose-colored glasses of 0 expectations, you would have to say that Jacoby Brissett is the greatest quarterback in human history.
Only in human history. Well,
Yeah.
why you say so?
Because the Patriots don't completely suck. They're 1-1. They should have won the game yesterday. They were in a position to win the game. They didn't. But the fact that they were in a position to win the game when everyone here in New England pretty much expected them to go, 0-17 and have maybe 3 touchdowns the whole year, they don't suck. And the fact that they're making, the running backs look fantastic, but the fact that he's completed some passes, threw some touchdowns, done this, they might as well just get the parade going because as Patriot fans with zero expectations, this season's already better than we anticipated. So I think a statue at least in front of the stadium for Jacoby Brissett, definitely Hall of Fame, and maybe GOAT status.
Okay. I appreciate your unbiased opinion. I appreciate that you took that very objective approach to this. Now, in the spirit of the last week, can we play a fun little? I did my little Malik Willis trivia last week. Let's do another trivia game, and this one I like to call the now benched Bryce Young trivia game. And I mentioned a moment ago a QBR rating that was sub Deshaun Watson, which now is a category, by the way. Sub Deshaun Watson is now a category. So, all right. I'm going to go through. I've got the stat line from the past game that this was the stat line that got him benched. I'm going to ask. So, Brandon, you didn't already look at this, did you? Did you already look at this stats here for Bryce Young?
I don't have his full stats up, but I can tell you, I don't know what your question or what this trivia is going to be.
Go ahead.
But to make it fair, I will say this because I don't think it's going to be what your trivia is. But
Sure.
Right now, Bryce Young in 2 games has less passing yards than Jordan Love has in his singular game.
Yes.
So,
yeah. What we want to do though is I want to really get into, Eric, the depths of the Valley of Sadness. We're going to enter into the depths of the Valley of Sadness now, because we need to be specific. We are men of facts as much as we are men of peace.
Oh, sure.
And this is the time. So Bryce Young had 26 passing attempts in this past game. 26.
It's hard.
He did complete 18 of them. That is a completion percentage of 69.2%. That's not terrible. That's pretty decent. That seems decent.
That's more than half. That's all right.
With 18 completions, can you tell me how many passing yards he got in this game? 69.2% completion percentage, and how many passing yards with 18 completions?
72.
All right.
This sounds stupid, but I'm going to say 54.
All right. So you both didn't give him enough credit. He had a whopping 84 passing yards.
Okay, he did better 84. Than I was going 3 yards per attempt is what my average was in my head.
Yeah, that gives you 54. Yeah, it's not much better. Not much better than that. Now, my personal favorite, the QBR. And by the way, I've decided that in football, I will use the QBR. I've decided is fun for me. I just like the 0 to 100 scale. It feels good. 50 being average, it feels good. Even if it's, again, advanced analytics, I'm always a little bit murky.
17.2.
All right, 17.2 is what you go with. QBR. What did he get in this game, Eric? 0 to 100 is the scale.
I'm probably too high.
41.6.
Can I interest you in 6.4?
Yeah, I said I was probably too high.
That's really low.
That's lower than Deshaun. That was lower than Deshaun.
I think I can do that.
I think getting out of your couch, you get like 10.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun fact. And I posted it in the Discord. I said, I'm rolling with it. Deshaun's going to bounce back. He's going to figure something out. And I actually left Jerry Jeudy in my starting lineup. My option was Adam Thielen. And I actually think Adam Thielen is a really, maybe not anymore, but he's been a good possession receiver. And in a PPR fantasy league, he's normally a player that's pretty decent. And something just told me that Judy would perform better than Thielen because of Bryce Young. And this was, obviously complete. I took that Deshaun Watson was going to make Judy a better statistical wide receiver than Bryce Young would Adam Thielen.
I just assumed that your angle was that Judy would take over a quarterback, which would automatically make it better.
Well, I mean,
it might be an
nice
improvement.
too, but
just go with it. Just listen. I'm going to do this myself. It's like, Deshaun, stay on the sidelines. I'm going to do this myself, bro. Like, just stay there. Don't even worry about it. We got this. I was just laughing my head off. Again, this has become my favorite thing. He has basically sunk to the absolute valley of sadness. It's so, in Carolina, brace yourselves for the Andy Dalton era.
Oh, he's coming back. Big Red.
Yeah. Andy Dalton was the backup.
Mama Duke is coming back.
But the QB room at Carolina was Bryce Young, he of the 6.4 QBR, Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket, and John Wolford, who you may be familiar with from the XFL.
No,
I think it was the XFL or it was the USFL. It was one of them. I remember John Wolford was definitely one of them.
No one's familiar.
No, you know what? John Wolford, I think, has been in a couple of them. I think he was actually in the AF. The AAF. I think he was in the AF too.
That's too bad.
Here's a question, though, to tie this in, and we don't have to get too deep, but...
Well, we're already in the Valley of Sadness. We're pretty deep.
No, I want to tie the hobby and the cards because, people like enjoying hearing that. And
you're saying Andy Dalton hashtag invest? Go on.
No, I'm saying
to get
people
cards,
have been excited.
I'll take your segue, but hang on. Let him finish his thought. We'll go to the segue. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
People have been excited about these new Topps products and everything. And we seen a post today in the Discord. You put like a gif of what a bargain or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a product going to be coming out or is already released or something. $2,100 for a box of football cards that is unlicensed. And your rookie options in this product: Mayo Man, a guy on the bench, Anthony Richardson, and CJ Stroud. Everybody else is veterans, including none other than Musa Muhammad. Are we seeing a problem here? Because like these players are now already faltering and being benched, and these products are. I don't think it was the best time to drop $2,000 boxes with these checks.
Well, first of all, sir, I will have you know that your Muhammad slander is just disgraceful. But that said, the product you're talking about is Topps Motif. Topps Motif is the $2,100 product. So, well, I'll tell you what. As we're talking, I'm going to find the checklist. So we'll talk. But as we're talking, I want to look. I don't disagree with what you're saying. Look, what it comes down to is this. I think unlicensed that Leaf always operates. So let's have the serious conversation. Leaf is always pushed the borderline. I think Leaf makes, Eric's slanderous ways notwithstanding, Leaf has certain products where I think they can produce a card that can at least be interesting to a collector. If you go into the world of the wacky, if you do the, Pete Weber, who do you think you are? I am. Sure, exactly. Like cards like that can be fun. If you got like a favorite, a lot of I've got some Not Swell Fella cards that came from Leaf, and those are fun. I've got a dual autograph with him and Sterling Sharp. That's a good combo. That's a fun one. I've got one that's got 3 different Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I think it's Joe Montana, the Not Swell Fella, and I want to say might be Peyton was the third one, or it might be Drew Brees. Either way, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's a cool combo, and you're able to get it for a fraction of what a Topps or Panini equivalent would be to the same thing. And again, as long as the autos are clean and the design looks decent, like great, whatever. Mm-hmm. I think there's still a place, but the price point is everything. The price point is critical. There is a cap. There is a limit where it makes $2,100 passes that limit. There's almost nothing we can do at that point where it's going to feel good. I'll try to get the checklist for Topps Motif, but it doesn't matter really at that point because you can have all the best veterans. You can have all the coolest. You can have some really cool designs. You can have like the Motif. Like I was looking at it. I remember now. Now that I see it, I actually remember looking at this. So I'll kind of share it on the screen here, and maybe I'll include a link in the description. So it's got kind of an artistic look, which can look pretty clean. I don't know if they're going for on card, but just for the record, if you go with on card, that would actually be nice. That would be good. That'd be. I don't think they are. Like I'd be shocked, but if they are, that'd be pretty sweet. A Joe Montana on card auto there with that design, that looks pretty nice. You know, the John Elway, that looks pretty cool. You know, Tom Brady, like Eric's salivating at the thought. This is very exciting.
Oh yeah, I need me some Tom Baby.
Yes. So if that's the case, great. You know, if you can do on card, that already puts a step ahead. But I'm just gonna like I've got the checklist in front of me here. Kurt Warner, Vic, Ray Lewis, sure, yeah. Doug Flutie Flakes, you got that. Jim Kelly, and then it looks like they've sorted it by team, so that's great. You can get yourself a Boomer Esiason. There you go. So like they've got some decent veterans here. But you know, even if I go to Green Bay, we've got the not so fella, of course, you know, Brett Favre himself. Dorsey Levens, you know, I know Dorsey Levens and I enjoy him. Lynn Dickey and Sterling Sharp. So again, we'll go back to Sterling Sharp. You know, you got the Houston Oilers here, Earl Campbell, Warren Moon, then Pastorini. So I think though, for $2,100, there are so many more disastrous outcomes than there are good outcomes. Because again, you can appreciate the veterans, but that's not going to get value. Sebastian Janikowski isn't going to get the job done.
No.
My take is I enjoy, and it's cool to see the veteran players and stuff, right?
Okay.
The greats.
And by the way, I look forward to the singles. I would definitely get a not swell fella. Like I would chase a couple of these singles, sure.
But my thought is at $2,100, and I think it says 6 autos per box, so you're looking at 300 and change per autograph, basically.
Ooh, we got Bo Jackson here. Bo knows.
And I think back, how many like nice upper deck cards when they had NFL licensing, or you know, the older we talk about the 90s stuff or the early 2000s eras and all that. Many of these players that's on that checklist, you can find other nice autographs that are licensed, maybe even with a relic in them, that's going to cost you way less. And
every single one of the people on this list have been in another set in some capacity, and you can get them all of them.
Right. And the more these guys sign, the less those autographs become valuable too. So it's like, I think they're pushing the line too far with these products. But going back to the rookie thing in the original topic we were on with, you know, Bryce Young being benched, you have a player there that was supposed to be one that was an attractive, you know, signee of a rookie quarterback, because they're pushing the quarterback envelope, and your options are Levis, Young, Richardson, he looked okay in week 1. I don't remember if the Colts won yesterday. And then
the Colts played the Packers. They did not. They were defeated by the Malik Willis era.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, even Richardson lost to Willis. So, but
what you talking about,
that's
Willis?
kind of my point. Like, you got veterans, and then you have 4 quarterbacks that, I mean, Stroud, he's the best of the 4, but even he wasn't great yesterday.
He struggled last night. So when we touched on that, like, look, right now, the Mayo Man, Will Levis, you know, we love him and appreciate him on the podcast, but nonetheless, he let us down. And I will say, I watched a little bit of the highlights. He was trying to do it. Look, I watched some of the talking head things. I watched a couple of things playing in the background while I was doing some stuff earlier today working. But I was listening to Rex Ryan talk about that, and he was freaking out. And look, he said the ultimate thing that immediately perked my ears up and made me pay closer attention. He goes, he thinks he's Brett Favre. He's not Brett Favre. And I was like, damn right. Damn right, Rex Ryan. Damn right. Because 2 weeks in a row, he was doing like a shovel pass kind of thing as he was falling down. And look, Brett did stuff like that, but he got away with stuff sometimes because he would make stuff up on the fly. But the thing is, he was throwing it right at the other defenders. Like, it was completely out of control. One of them, I think, was resulted in a fumble. The other one resulted in an interception. So the thing is, if you're going to be the not swell fella and you're going to pull this stunt, well, then you better have a cannon so that when you are doing other things, you can still throw the crazy touchdown. You can extend a play and make some of these throws. If you can't quite do that, you better not be trying to freewheel it. You need to be, and the issue, that really what got him worked up. And I just love that he included the not Swafel reference. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But the reason why it got him worked up was because Tennessee was in the game. So that was a critical error that likely cost them the game. So making a mistake, but making, in that sense, maybe he is like Brett Favre a little bit. Not the right time to be doing that. But the point is, if you're making these critical errors as a young guy, as a rookie, then that's where the coaches need to be like, hey, get that out of your system, get that out of your repertoire. You need to be protecting the football, because there's no good reason for you to take a silly chance, especially in a close game where one or two better decisions actually you might win if you just make a couple of better. It could have been Mayo Monday on the strength of Mayo Man. Thankfully, Willis was able to save us, but otherwise it would have been 0 for 3. Great sadness. So I think, to your point, having four rookie quarterbacks, Bryce Young is currently benched. Stroud struggled. Obviously, he's the undisputed starter in Houston. They're good from that perspective. He's got talent, so he's certainly shown it. Richardson has shown flashes, but he struggled. He had his moments. And Levis right now is a little bit on thin ice, I think, with his coaches. If you're making some silly decisions, that's a quick way of finding the bench. They can send you to that bench. So that's 2 of your 4 guys, and the other 2 struggled in some capacity or another. So all of your entire rookie quarterback class in a set that is veteran heavy and only has 4 rookies to carry the entire load. Right now, none of those are tremendously appealing.
Right. And there's other options, like, it seems like they're pushing this envelope, and maybe they know that the excitement of Topps coming back and there being Topps football and Topps basketball, they're taking advantage of the collector to get these. And Victor, I don't know if he watches the podcast or not, but they're taking advantage of putting the RC on the card.
Sure.
To get the hype. And I think they're also testing the waters with these price points, because we've kind of discussed this a little bit. But if people are going to pay $2,100 with only 4 rookies and no licensing, when they get the full reins and they can put a rookie class in there, when they can put the logos on the cards, that price is going to go up. And if they see that people are willing to pay it at this level, I am scared to see what they put it out for with the full, the full reins, full logos, full class, everything. But anyway, also just real quick, your triple auto is Dan Marino. That was your 3rd character or 3rd quarterback.
Sounds about right.
I actually had it up because I went back on your channel to see what was our first episode we did, because we've eclipsed the year mark of doing this, and you did the video where you got that in on a mail day, the video before we did our first episode, and I just noticed it was on my screen. So
there you go. Perfect.
But anyway, I just thought that would be a fun topic since we were talking about Bryce Young and then that product came up. But
no, I think that's fair. But bottom line is that enjoyable second week, but so something I'll throw at everybody to keep an eye on for week 3, because like I said, we're not going to spend all show talking about NFL. Again, we're not pretending to be experts. We're fans. We have our preferences. We have our things we enjoy. I love watching the games, but I consider myself to be, a passionate casual. I don't pretend to be anything more than that. I'm a passionate casual. I watch a fair number. I watch more NFL games at this point than I watch any of the other major sports. I actually watch full games in this, as opposed to some of the others where I'm barely watching, a little scoreboard watching. That's it. So I'm actually watching games of this, so I can usually judge, to me, what I like and don't like visually in terms of games or players. So I am enjoying it, but I will say there haven't been a lot of standout performances, individual performances from any of the quarterbacks right now. There's the odd game here and there, obviously a good stat line like Baker's 4 touchdowns, great. But we're still waiting to see. I think the offenses still haven't completely clicked, but some of them are generating offense, obviously. The Saints had, a crazy game, but Dallas is looking bad. So we'll see. But I still think it's going to have to settle in a little bit. I feel like a lot of these offenses still haven't quite got all their pieces moving in the same direction, so they're not clicking. But I do appreciate that some of these teams have been able to switch over to the running game to kind of make it work. Like I said, For Green Bay, switching to the running game worked. On the ground, they were able to do it. Although I think it's problematic, like I said. For Indy, I would be a little bit concerned that everybody knew that's what Green Bay needed to do, including the passionate casual knew that that's what you needed to do. And for some reason, you couldn't stop it. Or you didn't think to stop it. You might want to bear that in mind. Although,
well,
win for Willis. Let's go.
It is. You mentioned the rushing game, and as a Ravens fan, I was always rooting for J.K. Dobbins, and unfortunately, he kept getting hurt. But he is right now leading the league and rushing at 266 yards through 2 weeks. And we actually have 4 running backs, including a Patriot, including a Packer, and including a substitute for Christian McCaffrey on the 49ers. We have 4 running backs over 200 yards already through 2 weeks. So, and it's not guys that you would have expected. So that's
Fancy.
pretty cool to see.
Fancy. Well, look, we missed the initial segue because we wanted to make sure we finished that point. But I'll say this: if you want to go and find some of the singles, there are places you can do so, like AMG Collectibles and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel, amgcollectibles.ca. The scrolling ticker on the YouTube channel, links in the description. There will be an episode dropping later on. This is dropping on Tuesday. It's Mayo Monday, but this is going to drop on the Tuesday. And later on the Tuesday, the AMG Collectibles podcast episode will drop. And while, again, I had to calm him off the ledge, Steve wanted to spend the entire time talking about nothing but 2024 AEW flagship. And I told the man to calm down. Calm down. We do need to spend some time talking about the Cup. The new iteration of the Cup is coming out. So that's, again, it's not the Connor Bedard version. Still a year behind. Still a year. 22-23 instead of 23-24, but nonetheless.
Can we put that into perspective for a second? Because we literally, we all enjoy hockey, and we've talked about how absolute batshit crazy it can be to think about opening a $1,200 box. And we just said an unlicensed football product that's 99% veterans is $2,100 a box.
So what you're saying? Wait,
wow!
Someone at Upper Deck said, "Did he say bargain?"
Yeah,
bargain.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you want to put it in that perspective, I guess it is. It's shameful that any of this stuff costs as much as it does. I mean, I would never spend that kind of money. It's just not. It's not how I enjoyed this hobby. But to each their own. But when you put it that way, that you could actually get, rookies and special
on-card autographs,
license cards, and license,
crazy.
First, this other garbage. That's I think it is. Now you look at it as a bargain, I guess.
There you go. Now you know.
Oh man,
I'm still not spending a lot of money because it's ludicrous. And every single time I've seen somebody open the Cup, 100% of the time I've watched it happen, they've been disappointed.
So, more to come in later times, but look, I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no, but it is entirely possible that there may be a set of boxes that I may have already committed to, say 6 or 7 of them, that may cost less than half a tin of the Cup, that I may open on, say, the wrestling channel. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think I could guess what you're referring to.
Yeah, so hypothetically speaking, there are things. I did want to make sure we touch on it, though. Thank you, everybody, for indulging us in our NFL, amateur hour. But nonetheless, I did want to read a couple of comments from last week because we had some good engagement. Appreciate it as always. And then we'll get into the silly card of the week, also presented by AMG Collectibles. So we'll get to that here just in a second. First one was Stuke commenting, saying, "What you talking about, Willis?" That's right. Stuke knows. We had the Vikings game on the big screen at the hotel on Sunday. Going to be a long season as long as love is out. So that was before, obviously, the Malik Willis era took the world by storm. Let me tell you, that man game managed like few can. He game managed that game. He game managed it with the quickness, with the skill. And I encourage him to keep doing that because it was good. I appreciated it. It was good. Keep doing it. That thing you just did, do that again. Really good.
Well, as a part owner of the team, can't you just call down to the sideline and tell them what you want?
Well, I normally would invoke that, Eric, but I still have they didn't appreciate my radical ideas of how to get rid of the darkness previously. They were like, Carlos, I feel that your options are a little extreme. It's like, I don't think you're extreme enough. But nonetheless, we're having a difference of opinion for the moment. But I feel like if I settle back for a little bit, we'll just enjoy a couple Mayo Mondays, and maybe I'll invoke a little influence when the time is right. But for now, just as you were, keep doing what you're doing. So next one here was my Cam, Eric's favorite person in the world. You know what rhymes with heyo? Mayo. Or if we want to get it right, heyo, Mayo. Thank you, Ham. And almost as beloved by Eric, Josh comments here.
Good Lord.
Hashtag Mayo era is awful. Ruined me in my survivor pool. I blame Eric. Facts.
Well, that comment from Josh made me happy, because if he's miserable, I'm happy. So that's fantastic.
There you go. Look at you. Now, moving on here, we had 36 votes in the card of the week. We had the Dino Cicerelli Rhino card. I'm going to get to that in a second. There was a Tag, You're It card. Great choice. Cowboy J-Rob, 3 of them. And the winner was the Rhinoceros card. So Eric is the winner with 72% of the popular vote. That was a very strong turnout for the Rhino card.
Well,
now, we did have a comment. We did have a comment, though. Bobbles and Ball Guards, who may be associated with 540 Flips, commented on this with saying, I am certain one of these polls aren't hashtag rigged. Sir, I will not have you besmirch the good name of the democratic process. The people have spoken. It is you who is not understanding the will of the people. You are just not understanding the will of the people.
They want Rhinoceros.
Clearly, no doubt.
You won with a freaking hot dog. I had a hot dog week 1. I'm not going to let that live down. Like,
I won with a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Croydon.
I won with a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I don't blame you.
And a custom card. Shit.
It was so good. So good. But it was it was ray gun. It was ray gun. Come on, it was ray gun. You had a dinosaur scaling the Eiffel Tower. Come on. Gold. All right. So here we're going to share this week's cards of the week. So we got 3 different cards that we'll share. I will do mine last. I'll let you 2 gentlemen start. So I will share now on the screen the first card that we've got here. So Eric, this one's going to be yours. So let me share on here. Do me a favor, for the benefit of the folks with audio, make sure you explain what it is and then make your case.
I can't have a look at this thing and not laugh. This is a 57-58 tops Bruins card, rookie card of Jack Bionda, who played defense for the Boston Bruins. According to his jersey, it looks like there's an A on his sweater, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, the reason I picked this card and I purchased this card is not because Jack Bionda is a Bruins legend. His number is not hanging from the rafters, nor shall it ever. But when I saw this card for the first time, I could not stop laughing. All I can tell you is, for those who are not watching, on Jack Bionda's card, he is making his O face.
No, I think he had Bryce Young in his football pool. That's what I think is happening right there.
And it is the most ridiculous face I have ever seen on a card. I laugh every time I see this and look at it. It is utterly ridiculous. I would assume that his teammates and fans and anyone that saw this card and then saw him probably gave it to him pretty good, because it is ridiculous.
It almost reminds me of the Kelsey card from, was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, it was a week or 2 ago. Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. I think so. This was kind of the OG version of that. I think there is that element of going to it, but you got to think that someone at Topps actually okayed this.
Yeah,
they selected the photo and they're like. So what I'm thinking is Jack Bionda. Someone really hated this guy.
Yeah,
someone was like, you know what? Screw you, buddy. You're getting this photo.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I want to quickly note, Eric, remove that hair. Come on, man.
I meant the hair on his head, but yeah, what the hell?
Look.
Is that like part of Jack's hair?
Like, what are we doing over there, buddy? Wipe that off.
No, it's not there right now.
Well, I'm looking at the image you chose. So
I
you
understand, but I'm holding up the card right now, and it's not there.
The conspiracy deepens.
I must have. Looks like an eyelash. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's 57. It's 57.58 tops. 57.58 tops. I think that's what it is.
57.58 tops. That is correct.
Yeah. Jack Bionda. That is the first selection. Second selection, we got a wrestling card. Not even from me. This one's from Brandon. So this is an 85 tops WWF, ready for a pile driver. We got the note here. All right, Brandon, what do you want to note about this? Where it looks like it's Paul Orndorff about to deliver pile driver. What's going on over here?
It is Orndorff, and he has an opponent in a very precarious position. One might say questionable if this would be appropriate for a child to open the pack. But the part that really made me choose this card this week, obviously I don't indulge in the wrestling conversation very much, but I thought, let's surprise the guys. Let's give them a little bit of appreciation on their one of their favorite sports. But if you notice in the crowd, you got the number 44. It looks like it's a Riggins jersey, so we got a touch of football on here. But the referee, his evaluation, his stern look, his
focus,
his attention to detail, and the fact that it looks like he is checking out Orndorff's ass, it just made the card too funny along with everything else. Like, the image of what's going on is one thing, but then when you look at the ref in the back, that just that just set the cake for me.
So 2 weeks in a row, folks, you can pay attention that Brandon is very keen on people in the background doing things. So we've got a theme developing. We've got a theme developing.
You got it. Like, well, you don't get that in today's cards. They're all photoshopped. Like they're using these background erasers, and then all you get is the damn player in some stupid design and pattern and stuff. Enjoy the photo. Look at the crowd.
There you go. So 85 tops WWF, ready for a pile driver. So that is Brandon's selection for this week. So 2 very distinct choices, photo based. I'm also going to make a selection based on the photo, but I think, Eric, it's time to class it up a little bit.
Oh, we're going to class it up.
We're going to class it up a little bit. And for this one, I want to thank Top Stadium Club, that is known for their wonderful photography. Wonderful photography. They've got they make some interesting choices, a lot of enjoyable ones, and sometimes they'll go in the archives and pull up some interesting photographs. So I present for you with Top Stadium Club, Stan Musial, undertaking a lovely game of billiards. This was an interesting one that I was curious that they ended up putting, but you can see there, Stan the man, getting ready to line up a shot. He's got a nice little sweater there with the collared shirt on. Like he's just getting ready. Like he's just chilling. He's being recreational. Stan the man
on the shot.
Very nice, very nice. So getting ready to line up a shot.
Put a little English on that cue ball.
That's right. He's about to line up a shot. Maybe show off a little bit. Who knows? I just like the fact that they went and they actually found this is kind of a more candid shot, something that off the field, a little bit more, gives a little bit of the personality of the player, playing just a game of pool. Who knows? It might be between games. It might be before a game, after a game. Who knows?
A little secret. As I mentioned, I love the Stadium Club stuff, but I actually like, and we were on the topic of veterans earlier, I like these cards of the Hall of Fame, the legendary players that they put in Stadium Club. And I don't have the Z folio, but I have the similar type of binder thing of the Z folio. And I have a little collection started of legends on modern cards. And these are some of my favorites to put in there because there's some pretty cool pictures that they use of the old guys. And it's not just like this is a great example. It's not just them playing baseball. It's other activities maybe that they were involved in. So great choice, Carlos.
Absolutely. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to go a little off the beaten path. We got Stan the man here off the field. having a little relaxing recreation. Who knows? After he hits a shot, he might go over and grab himself a nice scotch. Very, very, very classy. Very chill.
I'm thinking yes. Yeah, that's exactly.
He's probably
what
got a cigar somewhere around there.
Yep.
It's got to be a cigar somewhere.
It feels like a moment of leisure.
Could be a pipe. Could, Stan was classy. Could have been a pipe.
I think the fact, Eric, that we can build a whole narrative based on this photo and what's going on around it, the ambiance a little bit. I think this is an excellent. It tells you that Stadium Club can make some excellent choices on the photo selection, in addition to on the field and off the field. It's a more interesting shot. I like a more candid shot that is a little bit more interesting, gives you a different side of Stan Musial.
Very nice.
So that's my selection for the card this week. So we got a little bit of a difference of different versions and different angles. All of them will be included in a community post on the YouTube channel. I've already got them in this case, so I've got them all ready to go. So basically tomorrow, after the episode airs, I will already have the community post up and we'll be able to give it. We appreciate everybody's participation, so keep that up. It's been kind of a fun segment. And I've been getting some feedback from some folks who have been enjoying the silly card of the week. They've been having some fun with it. So I'm glad. If you guys are enjoying it, then I think that's good. It also gives us a challenge. It gives us something. I already have next week's. I was able to find 2 cards, so I'm saving the second one for next week, and I'll have a little fun with that one.
I have a few in the back pocket, just for they're in the on deck circle.
There you go. Perfect. Look at you with a baseball reference.
I was told.
Look at you with a baseball reference. Yeah. My goodness.
They're on deck.
Sounds good. So we'll share that. Like I said, the community post in there, and we'll have that up, and it'll be another option, and you guys can pick whichever one you like. So choose your favorite, and then we'll declare a winner once again next week. And as always, we do appreciate the engagement, and also feel free to leave comments and thoughts and suggestions and all the above. And the engagement actually does help. It helps push it out to people and get some of these podcast episodes out there. Now, let's do the main topic here a little bit. So in this case, we're going to talk about, I got a chance this past weekend with the Burrell on Sunday to set up at a card show, a local here. The Greater Toronto Card Show, I believe is what they called it. I included a link to it last week. I did get a chance to meet a few folks, some other YouTubers, and also some folks that do watch the videos. So I had a chance to chat. So I'll kind of start at the beginning, and then along the way, guys, if there's any questions or thoughts you want to interject in there, please. So first thing I did, obviously, as you well know, like shockingly, I'm not a morning person. So in order to ensure that I am ready to go on a Sunday morning, and it's a Sunday, so I like to relax and chill a little bit. But I wanted to do the show, I wanted to set up. So strategy wise, what I did is I had a 25-cent box, I had a 75-cent box, I had also some stuff that was marked. Bobby actually had a little showcase that we were able to show off a couple of items. He had various knickknacks and different hockey items. We had a Bobby Orr, goal photograph. He had an autographed photograph of the flying Bobby Orr, had that on there. We actually had a couple of chats with a couple of people about it. There were a couple of folks that didn't know. Eric, you may be surprised. A couple of folks didn't. They're like, "Oh, that's a cool photo. What's that from?" They don't know, man. They don't know. We have to educate the youths. So you'll be happy to know, Eric, we educated the youths. So we told them a little bit about it so that they would understand what they were looking at. But it was an autograph one. So Bobby had some autograph items. He had some various memorabilia, pucks, a couple different things for the most part. Now, on Friday, we'll have the Burrell on, and he'll actually be able to tell you about a couple of items he also picked up. So he'll be able to tell you a little bit more about that. And he actually did find some really nice items. So I can share that with you in advance and let you know. Check out Friday's episode. Bobby will be able to give more details and be able to tell you a little more about it. So it was I can tell you, spoiler, it was a successful show for what we were both shooting for. He was able to buy some really nice items. I bought a couple of things. I shared them in a video that aired on the YouTube channel earlier basically on Sunday night. And I will say that, yeah. I'll get to one of those items. A Grail of Grails, if you will. We'll get to that in a second. But the point is that the key takeaway was that I wanted to lighten the amount of cards that I had, and I did. And I was very successful in that regard. So the 25-cent box was a good move. I actually had a gentleman that came by who I believe also watches the channel, so shout out to you because we chatted for a couple minutes. But he went in and I think he was filling in one of his sets, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to grab some stuff, He literally was grabbing a whole stack of them, and then in the end, like I said, very pleasant interaction. But he goes, and I just go, "Okay, how many you got there?" And he's like, "About 100," and it was 25 cents each. And I was like, "Yeah, $20. We're good." my goal is to please, by all means, if you're gonna take a bunch of them, even better. But the whole point was to lighten my load, so I was happy to move some of that on. I will say the 75 cent, some people took advantage of it. Although some people were trying to save some pennies. Brandon, I think a little bit of your disease got in there. Like trying to save, literally, if they had grabbed a couple more cards, I would have given it to them for cheaper. Like, just take more, take more. Like, I'm encouraging you, take more. Trying to save a couple of cents. You actually would have saved a couple more cents if you just grabbed a couple more cards. But the ones that I marked some cards and top loaders even as low as $1 or $2. And actually, those were very popular. People grabbed like a small stack of them. I'm like, that's exactly what I want. Take a small stack of them. And that was what I was shooting for. So I can tell you that with the money I came with initially, all things considered, I paid for breakfast, I shared the table, and then I did buy a couple of items. And even after that, I actually left with more money than when I started. So success.
Yeah,
I consider that to be successful. That's all I was shooting for. I wasn't trying to make millions of dollars in this. I was trying to enjoy the experience, hang out. Brad came by and we hang out and chatted for a little bit. So that was kind of fun. And some other folks, like I said, did come by and say hello. We were able to chat with some folks, chat a little bit of wrestling with a couple of folks as well, which is good. And overall, I would say it was a very successful show. Definitely had some foot traffic. I now know a little bit better of how I would mix up the box a little bit because there is an audience for the wrestling cards, but you got to tweak it a little bit. I think adding a little more WWE in there to mix it up a little bit would help out, but it's also what you bring. It's not just bringing in general, it's also what you bring. So I think I would change the mix a little bit. I don't want to spoil too much, but maybe the next show is actually in December and maybe the Burrell is already updated and maybe we'll be going to December. So if that gives you any indication of the sentiment from the Burrell, and I may be assisting him in the December version of that show.
Excellent.
So that's high level. So I got a couple more stories, but high level. Any questions or thoughts you have?
So you mentioned one person, watches the channel. Was that it? You just had one person that watches the channel, or do you have multiple people who saw that you guys were going to be there and purposely showed up looking for you and looking for wrestling or Bobby's trinkets?
Well, there was a couple of different ones. So I was focusing on the specific one that actually went through the 25-cent box, but Simon, 466 Cards, who I've shouted out on the channel before, he came by. He specifically let me know, hey, I'll be down there. Yeah. And he goes, I'd like to sell you a card. And I go, by all means, come on down. So one of the items I bought was actually from him. So that was one of the ones that I shared. It was an MJF, which is one of the more popular characters in AEW. So we were able to get a deal done on this card, which is great. I actually sold 2 of cards from this set specifically. And I'll go into more detail on Friday and on the other one, but I had 2 cards that I had for sale in this. I actually sold one of them off the showcase and then another one in the box. And then I ended up purchasing this one, which is good. So I'll hang on to this one for a bit and hang on to it as part of the collection. But yeah, we were able to come to a deal. Pleasant conversation. It was a good chat. But we had a couple different people that were familiar with the channel or had seen it before that came by to chat. But it was just the one gentleman in particular was going through, obviously, the box. And I was happy to see that he grabbed a small stack. And that was perfect, which is what I was hoping for. So that's why I say for me, I'll be changing up the mix a little bit to give a couple of different people different things they can be looking at or looking for. And it gives you a little bit of a lay of the land. It also let me look around to see what other people are setting up at. There's a couple of specific notable ones that I'll share with you, but before I do, is there any other kind of secondary or follow-up question on that?
No, I was just kind of hoping for your sake that more of the people who watch the channel would, and that live in that area would come by and say hi and interact with you guys, because this is a great way to try to promote, you guys doing a show, especially together, So I was really kind of, for your sake, hoping that, people who watch the show saw that you guys were going to be there and maybe made a special trip to say hi and to also, look at your wares.
Oh, I think there's definitely some of that, but it's one of those things where we're not specifically going out of. I think we've already seen experience in the past from previous shows. Some folks are shy to say anything. We had folks that saw, and like in the Hamilton one, we had folks that saw us, and it was one of the gentlemen who was on the live after. It was only because he saw us at the Henry's after that he said hello. So while we were at the show, he didn't say hello, but we were afterwards. He said, but I always try to encourage, like, no, say hello. We're there, especially if we're setting up at a table. Like we're literally sitting there just chilling, and and like I said, we had waves, and the show actually was pretty busy. I think it was at about 80 tables, give or take. I will say this. So now I'll expand out to give a little bit more of the story. So as I said, because I do love mornings. Oh yes. What I decided to do is they're at what they call the Monte Casino, and it is a hotel and event center. So it's both those things. I will say the event center space very nice. They had a section there with food and drink, very good.
Oh, nice.
Bobby was nice enough to grab a beer and do a little beer run over there, and then I grabbed a beverage, and we were able to hang out. And again, it was a good time. Okay, Bobby was able to make the round, say hello to a couple different people. So from that perspective, it was pretty good. Again, the didn't seem like it was overly expensive in terms of the concession, so that was good. Obviously, that's always a key thing. It's like, no, please don't overprice on this stuff. Like some people want to eat and drink. Like we're there for a long time, for hours, and it's good to be able to access something and get and top up a drink. But the convention center was actually pretty decently set up. I did appreciate a lot of the way they did it. Is there things they could do better? Always. There's always something. But I think for the most part, it was a good experience from that regard. And we were able to chat a little bit with our neighbors a little bit there as we were watching things. And you watch people do waves and things. But because I stayed in the hotel, I'm going to tell you this. As a person who has stayed at the sunny scenic Econo Lodge Tonawanda, in sunny scenic Tonawanda,
Yeah.
I have a low bar where it's like, okay, look, I live to tell the tale that it was a sorry state of affairs over there. So it's not that bad. But when I was in that hotel, the hotel part, I got Overlook Hotel vibes. I was looking for the twins. I was trying to find the kid with the red rum, and I was like looking for the twins. And they were I'm sitting there like, well, this is creepy. From top, listen, Brandon, they had a physical room key, like a metal key, and I was sitting there like, aha. The elevator is like this industrial metal thing. It's like, I bet someone was murdered here. Like I just looking at it, I'm like, not creepy at all.
It's just
and
retro. It's just
it's
very
retro vibe, a retro feel.
Yeah.
Just retro. That's the
Right.
Two
the
more
theme.
specific things I'll hit on. Number one, the rooms are super dark. Or at least, like I said, the one I was in, it was super dark. I actually had a decent sized room. I got a decent sized room out of it, but and the bedroom was separate from the rest. It had a little living room area and everything. But I swear to God, my monitor is bigger than the television they had. The monitor I'm looking at you guys on right now is bigger than that TV. And secondly, it's directly connected to cable, so it's standard def, guaranteed, 100%. I'm surprised they didn't have rabbit ears. They had floor lamps. So like I've got a floor lamp here in the office because it's convenient, but I've got a light above if I want to turn it on. But this is convenient for me. I like it this way. But they had floor lamps in there because you have no choice. There's no lights above, so you got to have it. 2 out of the 4 were broken. They didn't work. And the coffee table, the coffee table that's there, was painted over in black, but it was like you could literally see that it looked like it was chalk. I think I could, and I was sitting there like. Again, I've been to the Econo Lodge in sunny scenic Tonawanda, so you're gonna have to work real hard to like truly horrify me. But I gotta say, I had questions, Eric. I had questions.
And
remember,
it's like you're talking to the guy that did a Friday episode from a hotel room that we were afraid to actually sleep there, and went to Walmart and bought all new bedding to put on top of the very, very much stained bedding that was already there, and basically slept with both eyes open the entire night. I don't know if you remember that episode, but
I do. That's why I say it doesn't quite. There's levels to this. There's levels to this. The Econo Lodge in sunny scenic Tonawanda is like towards the bottom end of that. The hotel you're describing is towards the bottom. It was better than that. The bed was decent. I'll say it was at least comfortable. It was comfortable. Yeah. It sufficed for one night. Let's just say I didn't feel like I got my money's worth, is all I'm saying. The advantage was that I was on premises when it came time to go get breakfast. So that was a plus. So Bobby and I went to go get breakfast beforehand, and then we had plenty of time to set up. So no issues there. We didn't have to rush. We were able to get everything where we needed it to be. Lessons were learned because certain things would make it easier for us. So I think we'll make sure we have some of those things. But that's why I say, like, the experience of the show itself was good enough that I think he's renewed for the December show. So we'll more than likely be doing it in December. Great. I'll make some adjustments on my end. I'm already starting to make some adjustments. So I'll tweak it a little bit, but I think it was successful. I think for the most part, I was happy. I was able to get a sale done within like the first 20 minutes of the show starting. So once you get the sale done, first sale done, it kind of gets the ball rolling a little bit. So it kind of allows things to move a little bit. I will say, observationally, people still don't know how to negotiate. It's very, and it's hysterical how many people are like, I don't think you know how to conduct a conversation. It was very entertaining watching some folks do their thing. I had one guy who did buy from me, so appreciation to that. But I think he was staring at his phone trying to figure out comps for like 25 minutes.
Oh.
Or it felt like 25 minutes. Like it felt. And again, there's not a ton of stuff. Like people are around and everything, but it's like sitting there like, it might not have been nearly that long, but it felt like it was that long. I'm sitting there like, okay, it's not that complicated. I had already pre-priced everything to comps anyway recently, so he was like, in the end he bought a couple of cards and we were able to come to a deal. So fine.
How was the internet connection?
Perfectly fine. Yeah, it's. I will say that that event hall I think normally does weddings and stuff like that, so I think they were well situated. I had zero problems with internet, no problems there. I think in terms of, I would like for Bobby was commenting on this. I would like the lighting to have been turned up a little bit more, make it a little brighter because it's easier to see stuff. But it's not like we were sitting in darkness. Aaron Rodgers didn't show up, so we were fine.
Oh, good.
But we were able to still, move our wares. And I think more than likely we'd shoot for maybe something towards the wall because we were actually just inside. So the wall, we had the one set of dealers there. We were on the second row. So, and there were plenty of room between rows, so no issues there. It did get busy. Like it actually did get pretty busy. And I'll say we had a good variety of different, we had a comic book dealer there who had a whole setup. He had a whole wooden, basically shelf that he built up behind that had the signage and everything, which is smart, actually. It helped him stand out very easily. It was, I think, like I said, it ended up being about 80 dealers, 80 tables, give or take. And the tables were decent size, so you could have the one table. And I think the cost of the table for that show, because they're getting started up again, was $99. Which isn't crazy. It's not terrible. So we were able to do that, which means that it's easier for you then, if you are able to make some decent sales, to be able to more or less make your money back, and then you go from there. And you're not under a crazy pressure to try to make huge high pressure sales. You're able to have pretty calm sales and go about it. It just depends on what you had. I didn't find too much for me. I only grabbed a handful of items. Like I said, Simon brought one card. Now, and I also got a box of 88 score baseball. It's kind of a fun junk wax open thing. Relatively cheap. I bought it. Oh, now, of course, I would be remiss if I did not discuss the Grail of Grails. So if you guys see the pickup video, the angel choir was singing when the card was being shown. And I knew Eric would appreciate it. And he did.
Yeah.
Like the appreciation was off the charts. As you all know, Eric is allegedly a fan of the Boston Bruins. A wonderful minor league franchise. They've been around a long time, so it's great. But one of their best products, after years of toiling away in the minor leagues, was a gentleman named Bobby Orr. Not to be confused with Booby Orr. On Fridays, you may hear of this Booby Orr, a different guy. But Bobby Orr toiled in obscurity as a Boston Bruin for many a year, until one day he got the call up to the big club. He got to be prime time. Finally got to be in the National Hockey League. Yeah. And here is the card. Look at it. Magnificent.
Smile on his face.
He's like, finally, I get to play for a real hockey team. How wonderful. Splendid.
Yeah, look who's sitting next to him.
Serious question about that card. Was it photoshopped?
Yes.
Oh, it's 100% Photoshop. Yeah, there's literally a Boston Bruin beside him. Yeah.
Phil Esposito.
That's what I noticed. Like, I was like, wait a second.
Look, the Top Center Peachy guys were too lazy to properly get rid of all the suck, so they left at least one thing in the background.
Yeah, you got Phil Esposito sitting next to him in a Bruins uniform.
Peasant. So
it's when he got called up to the...
Yeah. Phil Esposito's like, can I come too? Fine, Phil, you can come. But don't cause any trouble.
They gave him the jersey.
They said to the Rangers.
Yeah.
Said, you're going to the big leagues, kid. Handed him the jersey.
Yeah.
And Phil was there to get him a water. Phil was there to get him a water, carry his bags. It was very nice of him.
Makes sense.
It was very nice of him. Yeah. It was quite the story. Like I said, it was an inspirational story like Rudy. We talked about this on Friday. It was very inspirational. It was wonderful. Glorious. So anyway, now quick addition to that story. So now I'll share it now. So I did pick up this card, And I picked up his card right at the end of the show, and it was actually on a table there in one of the the bargain bins. But I actually saw a price on it and everything. And when I was looking at it, it wasn't a bargain bin. That's actually true. I'm not joking. So it was there. And what happened was I was looking at it, and I think he had it marked for like $8, and I'm like, I'm not paying $8 for this. But what I told him is like, hey, look, I got a buddy who's a big Boston Bruins fan, and it irks him to no end when we make jokes about the Blackhawks thing. It's like, I'll give you $4 for it. It's worth $4 for me for the gag. And he's like, all right, hold on. Because it wasn't his card. He goes, let me check. He goes over to the other guy, tells him about it. And he's laughing. You can hear him audibly laughing. And he comes back. I was like, yeah, done. Done. No problem. So I was able to get a lovely discount on the strength of Schadenfreude. Everyone loves a good Schadenfreude. Everyone loves a good Schadenfreude.
Half price for Schadenfreude.
It's a powerful
probably paid
force,
2x on it though, really.
Really? Like, oh yeah. Like I said, career minor leaguer.
This is the OPG.
Yeah, career minor leaguer who finally got a cup of coffee at the big club. So it was nice. Worked out. Good times, my friends. Good times.
Oh,
good
times.
Oh, everyone loved it. It was a good time. As soon as I showed it to Bobby, he cackled. It was great. We all had a good hearty chuckle.
I want to rewind back to a statement you made earlier. First of all, good breakdown, rundown of the show. I am a true believer that small shows, especially if they are put on well, they got a good promoter and good location and everything, good foot traffic. I think you can do well with that low end stuff. You don't need
for sure.
$10,000 cards in a showcase. Bargain boxes will pay your tables and give you money to eat lunch.
And I'll add a point to that. I want you to finish your point, but I will add something to that as well as an observation. But please continue.
But going back to when you talked about the person that you wished had bought a little bit more and you would have bundled a deal.
Yeah.
Just a little tidbit, because a lot of folks, their only interactions with negotiating is eBay or online, Instagrams, whatever. And you're right. A lot of people don't know how to negotiate. But when you are working with, especially if you can tell a dealer is willing to bundle, it is always in your best interest. Instead of and this is coming from someone that is a cheap ass. If the prices are good, the bigger your bundle, the better the prices are going to get.
Correct.
It's just a known fact. I had the same experience on Saturday, and this is outside of the card topic, but I was out, doing the yard sale thing and everything. Guy had some books. I'm not a big book person, but a couple had caught my attention. They were topics that were very out there and niche, so it was enough to interest me in looking them up. Asked the guy, how much are your books? He said 50 cents a piece. I had a stack of 20 books, so it was going to be $10. At this point, I know a lot of people hate books because then they got to carry them back in, and he obviously wanted to get rid of them. I said, look, man, I can sit here, it's going to take me a while to look through all these. How about if I just buy them all? How much would you do? He said, how about $5? I said, dude, I got $10 in my stack here. He's like, okay, if it makes you feel better, $10. Point to all of this is I could have just nitpicked and selected the ones that I was confident in, but it's much easier to just, for me, and I got a better deal just buying them all. It made my costs go down because there was actually way more than the 20 books that was worth money in there. And then I just took them home, went through them, sorted out the ones I wanted, I put in a pile, the ones I didn't are getting donated. So it was interesting you mentioned that, because it's the same way with cards, and it kind of works the same way. You can get better value. You can bring your cost per card down sometimes by making a bigger pile. Carlos would have been happy. The person buying would have been happy. It was win-win for both parties. Eric, don't do it, but whatever. Anyway.
But Brandon, I know that you're doing this full time now and you're supporting your family with it, but I don't think you quite understand how it works. See, when they say give me $5, you don't say let me give you 10. That's not how that works. That's not good.
It was he said, give me $5, or if it makes you feel better, do 10. And he thought he only had 3 boxes. And I said, no, you have 4 down here. And he's like, okay, we'll call it $10. I want to keep in mind that the missus had picked up a bottle of cologne that sells for 150, $160. That was also packaged in this deal. So, and I knew one of the books alone was over $100. I was not going to complain about $5, Eric.
But you upped the price yourself.
No, I didn't up the price.
Okay.
When I told him you have 4 boxes, he said, okay, let's call it $10.
Oh, okay.
I paid $2.50 a box.
Okay.
The books that we took out are estimated around $1,100. I'll be okay at $10.
It's a tough life. It's a tough life.
Yeah.
But so kind of adding to what I was talking about is one of my observations is that some folks, like I said, get in their heads a little too much. So this is just kind of, it was funny because I enjoyed it because usually I'm on the other side of the table, but I'm not a stranger to card shows. I've been to too many at this point, but the concept is not different. In this case, obviously I get a chair, so I get to sit and chill. It's kind of good for me. But the reality was that, yeah, I saw all types. I saw the kids that are like, oh, do you want to trade? One of them tried to do a trade with me and stuff, which I was like, okay, so what do you have?
They have the
yeah, of course, absolutely. But I was chuckling because one of them wanted to buy. I did bring a couple of Juan Soto cards, so he's like, he wanted to do a trade for one of the Juan Soto cards, and I was like, okay. But it was a $25 Juan Soto.
Are you
card.
trading? Are you buying cards? Are you buying cards? You trading?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but the card he was trying to trade for was a $25 Juan Soto card. And I was sitting there like, okay, what do you, I was kind of curious, like, okay, what do you have in mind? A $25 card. What do you feel that you need to? I want to trade a $20 bill for it. That's what I want to trade. I want you to trade me a $20 bill. You hand me one of those and we're good. I don't necessarily need another card. But again, I'll still hear it out. Why not? Like, no harm in hearing it out. But yeah, obviously, he was literally standing there with like a random basketball card. I was like, come on. So I was like, no, I'm good. But I think a lot of folks are a little bit skittish in terms of figuring out, very awkward in terms of trying to do really basic things. The thing with that one guy is I would have said something, except I think it would have like rattled him. And I was like, look, I'd rather get at least a couple of bucks out of you if you're going to grab a couple of cards. Do what you want to do, but it would have actually been easier if you'd been grab a small pile, or just ask, would you come down a little bit if I grab a small stack? I was like, yeah, sure. My goal in this case was to lighten my load. Like, I literally, a lot of those cards I had very little into, so I would have been very willing to. That's why I said the one guy, when he got all the cards and he got the pile, I was like, yep, no problem. Here you go. Discount immediately. You're doing me a favor. Like, by all means, please. I'll take the money, and then you got the cards and you're good to go. If you want to grab a bigger pile, even better. By all means, fill up your card. But I just thought it was interesting watching kind of the different versions of it from the other side and looking at it and going like, it's not that hard, guys. A lot of us are not biting. It's like no, just ask. Also, if you're not sure, just say something. Throw out a number.
Do you think it's the inexperience of people going to the shows, or do you think it is because a lot of the dealers are assholes and they will not budge or negotiate? Like, they're already in many cases above comps, and then they won't even come down to a reasonable number, and so they're afraid to even ask now. Do you think we're at that stage of maybe some of the people?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. That's one of them. But I think with some of the folks that I was dealing with, I think they would have struggled to initiate a conversation on pricing with just about anybody. The prices on this, a lot of the stuff that I was doing were right in line with comps anyway. So it's one of those things where like I wasn't, even if you disagreed with it, I actually had one guy who was asking about it, and I said, it's like, oh well, I don't feel like it's that like, I'm trying to figure out how you got that number. I said, okay, well, tell me what comp you have. And he went into his computer and on the phone and tried to figure it out. And then I went onto eBay and I found it in about 4 seconds. Here you go. And because I'd priced them recently, I'd priced them that week. So I was like, I put these numbers based on things that have happened recently. So I was able to, I didn't just make it up out of left field. So, but if you disagree, I'll happily hear you out. I have no problem. And if you're going to grab a couple of cards, I'm probably going to discount it anyway. So there are ways to accomplish what you want to accomplish. For the most part, if somebody had a reasonable offer, I didn't turn them down. I didn't have any issue. I think a lot of folks were a little gun shy to do that. Now, again, my inventory was very specific. It was one of those things where if you're into the wrestling, that you were going to get some of that. And I was also very heavily focused on the AEW. If I had a little more WWE, it would have made it easier for some of those folks. But that's okay. I know that. So I knew that going into this show. So probably next time I'll mix in a little more WWE, and that'll make it a little bit easier for some of those folks to initiate a little bit, and that's okay. I can do a little mix and match. But I think the takeaway for me was that, to Brandon's point, I think a lot of folks are underserving. My observation from that show is a lot of folks are underserving because the box that did the best for me wasn't even the 25-cent box, although it did okay. Part of it, again, it needed to be more of a mix of different genres, and it would have helped it a little bit. The one that did the best was the stuff that was top loaders, but it started at $1. There was stuff that was $1 or $2, and even at $5 cards and $10 cards and such. It went up from there. There were some $60, $70, $80 cards towards the back of it, but there was still plenty of $1, $2, $3, $5 cards in there, which in turn allowed some of them to grab a couple of them, and there you go. $5 transaction here, $10 transaction there, $20 transaction here, and it adds up over the course of those. And I was happy to do those because it was slowly clearing out that side of it, and I was just mixing things around, but it worked. I would probably just stack up more of those, and that would probably work out very nicely for me as well. And I even sold a couple of cards out of the showcase. Nothing crazy, but I was able to move a couple of cards off the showcase as well. So just mixing and matching, I think, would work very well. But the reality is, most folks, like we've speculated and discussed in the past, most folks aren't bringing a ton of cash to these shows. So you're not going to be selling. Now, if you got the right person who really has a specific thing they want, but most of them are not selling $200, $300, $400, $500 cards. They're not, $50, $60 cards. Maybe there's a couple of those in my move, but it just depends. Depends on what the person's looking for. But I think a lot of folks were very keen. Once you show them that, hey, there's $1, $2, $5 cards here. I even sold the one of the triple LeBron, Kevin Durant, and Steph Curry, the 2 cards that I bought from the Topps Now thing. I sold one of them. He goes, "Oh, for $5, yeah, I'll take that." Perfect, take it, done. So I sold one of those. So I was like, I'm thrilled. Take it away. I don't need it. So it's possible, but you just have. I was pricing to move stuff. My objective was to clear out of it. So I wasn't raking anybody over the coals for a couple bucks. No, take it, go.
I know we talked about this not all that long ago, is that should be the goal of every dealer, is that you walk out with more money in your pocket that you walked in with, and you have less stuff in your car to pack up. That is your goal. If you were coming out even or less than what you walked in on for whatever reason, and you're just putting everything back in your car at the end of the day, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed setting up the few shows I've done. The only reason I quit is because the smaller show, the guy that promotes them, he was too worried about setting up any and every place every single weekend he could. And the last time I set up, he had forgotten that I was even down for a table. And he was like, "Well, I can fit you in if you bring your own table." So I was like, "Well, okay, I'll just grab a fold up." But then he still charged me the same price for a table, even though I had to bring my own damn table. And that, it just started getting worse and worse and worse. So that's the only reason I quit setting up. But, and a lot of people do things different ways. Carlos, you mentioned giving the deals and stuff. On my bargain boxes, and I'll just use, say, a dollar box, for example. Let's say somebody had 27 cards. Give me $20, okay? Take those 7 free. I'm not going to miss them, but I got a $20 bill in my pocket. The other thing, you mentioned you recently comped everything. What I would do is mentally in my head know that what I had on the card is, roughly the most recent eBay sale. But if it took me going down a little bit on that to get someone to buy it right there, I would do it, because I knew listing it on eBay, the eBay fees, people are going to want to message and try to negotiate on there anyway. All of the other costs that go involved and have to ship it out, all of that. Give me the cash right there. I'm not gonna lie, I had about a 20% negotiation number in there, and I would keep that in my head, and if somebody was interested in a card, I'd give them better than the sticker just to move it. I was there to get rid of the stuff, not tell people about it.
Right.
And so I think if more dealers were that way, it's maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some are doing very, very well, but for me and the stuff that I was, messing with and doing and, enjoying the show, making some money, the whole purpose of going there to get rid of stuff, it worked great. So
Yeah, I think we had a good mix. What I'll say is there are some dealers who I think were, certain ones were disorganized. Some of them didn't have prices on stuff, which is always a pet peeve of mine because I'm like, all right, look, what are we starting here? Like, I need something to get, give me a basis, give me a starting point. Like I said, I did a sweep. One of the advantage if you're a dealer ahead of time is that you get a chance to walk around and look at the wares. But and I took a couple of opportunities to walk around and take a peek, but nothing particular. Like I said, very few things caught my eye other Grail of Grails. Grail of Grails is a different conversation. But outside of that,
conversation, all right.
it was an auto buy, not even a question, not even a doubt. But outside of that,
it wasn't an
half
auto
price.
buy. It
was an auto buy at half price. So the fact was that I did still see some nice stuff, and I think it depended on what people were shooting for. One of my favorites, I'll call out a couple of specific ones. One of my favorites was there was a guy who had a mix of different things, and one of the things he had was a lot of graded magazines and comics. So this dealer was specifically a lot of graded magazines and comics. One of the magazines was a Nintendo Power of WWF WrestleMania with Hogan doing the leg drop. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. It stuck out to me. So I went by, I took a look at it, I saw it, and then I came back later. And I think Brad might have bought some stuff from them as well. It's different stuff, but I think he bought some stuff from them. But I looked at it. I have no idea what the market is on any of that. I have no earthly clue. And he didn't have anything priced. But I did come back later and I was kind of curious. I was like, all right, how much is the WrestleMania one? He goes, oh, 550. I was like, oh.
You thought
that's not going to work for me, brother. That's not working for me, brother.
Yeah. You were thinking like maybe it was 50 at most.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, $40-$50, I might have been, yeah, sure, that'd be kind of fun. It'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I was like, ooh.
Nope.
Not working for me, brother. Not today, brother. But it was a cool item. Nonetheless, it was a cool item. Doesn't mean I can't appreciate it as an item itself. And again, I have no idea what the market is on that stuff. I could have comped it out or whatever, but I had no idea. But it was worth asking. But I think some of those shows are a little bit of hit and miss. It just depends on what you get there, depending on what you see. Although, I will say I gave credit. There was one dealer who was right beside the front door, and he went old school on it. He had stuff like you would regularly expect to see. He actually had an open box of 1991 Topps baseball, and he was selling the packs for $1. And I was like, "Oh man, you're going old school." I think the target audience for that is like a dad who wants to show his kids some of the players when he grew up, because you could buy a couple of packs and show off a little bit of that and go, "Let me tell you about Benito Santiago."
Oh, the thing is though, he's not. As crazy as this sounds, a lot of the I talked about it I think a couple weeks ago. The resellers that I'm seeing cross over into card content, that's the stuff that they're buying. They're buying the cheapest junk wax that they can get, and they're creating content out of it. And somehow they're getting thousands of views by opening a pack of the cheapest junk wax that has nothing inside of it. But people are like, the algorithm is taking their videos and running with it on this short form content. They're not opening boxes. They're just opening single packs. Yeah, just stuff like that. There's
88 score. Let's go, Eric. 88 score.
The other one that's
which one
trending
had the guy holding his jock? Was that 88?
I think that was 89 score.
Yeah, it wasn't 88, but
too bad.
The other trending one is the weird like junk wax time, the 80s, 90s oddball packs, like the TV show packs and things like that. They're just sitting there opening them. There's like nothing in there that they're actually going for, but they'll sit down, open one pack, and they're making a killing because of the views that those videos are getting. So I bet if one of those short form content people were there, they would have bought every pack like that the man had. So I don't know. I don't know how to make the content like that, but it's working for some folks.
Hey, there you go, man. It works out. I don't know what to tell you. I just thought it was very funny that more than anything else, I think it was enjoyable and educational just to watch the different mixed bag of people that were there that interacted with it. I think he did. I think the showrunner, did well for that first show, and he had some giveaways and stuff like that. One of the big problems that is always going to be in a place like that is that you don't have speakers all the way around, so you have to have a speaker that's like blown out. It's a little bit loud. Fortunately, they didn't use it the whole way through the show. They only used it a couple of specific times, which is good. It kept the noise from being a little bit crazy because it's annoying. So the expo has this where like the speakers are absolutely atrocious. It's annoying. It's like, please be
Chantilly
quiet.
does too.
I
No,
don't
it
want to. I don't want to hear about every single autograph guest, every single because they crank up the volume so high, it's distorted.
It's
You can't even
hard.
hear what they're saying anyway. So it's like it's loud and I can't understand what you're saying.
And
so
it's like
it's terrible.
Menzies on the floor with us.
Yeah.
He can hear how bad it is, yet he doesn't do anything to improve it.
They're all like that. That's one reason
all
why
of
I hate. Like I've done it. I think one, maybe two shows where I went around filming and stuff like that. But it is so annoying to try to film or even have a conversation with people there at the show because it's and they have a ton of autograph guests up there, and it's just constantly going off. In the morning, it's your best period if you want to like record and that sort of thing, because probably by like 9 or 10 a.m. when the autograph stuff starts, really going, you're done. You're done. It's going to go all day, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think my big my big takeaway would be that I would tweak some of the inventory a little bit, which I think would work out well. Now I have a better sense of exactly how we can get some of the stuff set up a little bit more efficiently, which I think would help out as well. And it's one of those things where now I think it's a little bit easier to get your flow going into it and figuring out the best way to go about it. But yeah, I think one of the big things that that is going to be interesting is to see how the show goers go, because I noticed in the Hamilton show, I gave the observation then, I give it now. There are still buyers, there's still foot traffic, there are people there. Of course, there are a lot of people there that are also just there to look around. They're just literally there. Because you could tell, it was always very funny to me when I would see certain folks that would like do laps over and over and over again, and they would look at stuff and they would look at the same stuff and be like, I've seen you like 5 times. Walk by. It's not, the inventory didn't change. It's the same stuff in the same row, sir, madam. Like, it's the same stuff. Like, I don't know if you're getting your steps in. Like, I don't know what you're shooting for here, but I don't think it's going to change that dramatically within 20 minutes, circles around the building. I just thought it was very funny when I would sit there because I literally would see the same guy. And one guy would come by and he'd go to the bin and start looking through it and then look through it again. It's like, it hasn't changed. It's still the same as it was the first 3 times you look through it. I just thought it was very, very interesting to see the cast of characters and the different types. I will
That is the
recommendation.
one thing.
Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt. That's the one thing that is a downfall of the bargain boxes. You have to have eyes on them at all times, because someone like that, he might have been slick and maybe he got a few off of you.
No,
But
the best part is every time he tried, I was literally where the box was directly in front of me, and I'm literally looking at him, and it's like, you're not a magician.
that might be what he was trying to do, though. That's
Yeah,
my point.
it's like not working.
The bargain
No.
boxes, like as great as they are, they're also a gateway to the ones that like to have sticky fingers.
Oh yeah. It was fortunate. The setup we had was that literally the boxes are directly in front of me. It's like I'm sitting there. It's like, dude, I'm sitting right here. I'm looking right at you. By all means, but show me your Houdini trick. It's like, no, the stuff was still there. But I appreciate your effort. Best of luck. But it's interesting. And I will say it is good perspective. I would recommend to somebody if they can, or if the opportunity presents itself, especially if you can split a table. I think that's very helpful. The guy beside us, and I guess it'll depend and see how the future shows go. There was a lot of Pokemon, I will say. for sure there was a lot of Pokemon.
I've
The
been
one
hearing
dealer
that
beside
a
us,
lot
every
of
show.
shows.
yeah, the one dealer beside us like had a whole setup as far as having unopened boxes, binders with singles, and actually the guy that set up directly beside myself and Bobby on the left, that guy didn't show up. So because he didn't show up, the Pokemon guy was to the left of him. So when the lady there that was doing all the assignments and everything and handing everybody their stuff, basically maybe 10, 15 minutes before the show started, he goes, if he doesn't show up, do you mind if I move some more of my stuff there? And then she basically told him, yeah. And as soon as she said this, like, vroom, filled up the whole table full of stuff. Like he had way more than a table full of stuff. Imagine if somebody had set up there. He's like, you have way more stuff than you could fit in there. Some people had whole shelves full of stuff behind them. It was like, okay, you guys are going for it. Look, I'll give you credit. Interesting. Very interesting. And Bobby will be able to give the story better, but there was a dealer there who I guess hadn't set up in years. And he literally had a smorgasbord of all kinds of stuff. And I'll give you 3 guesses where the Burrell went. And all I'm going to say is that some of that stuff, allegedly, the Burrell may have grabbed some stuff from there. And on top of whatever the price tag was, it was 50% off.
Oh, for the Burrell.
So I will let the Burrell explain on Friday in detail. But Eric may want to listen in on this because there is some of the hockeys that was purchased at 50% off.
Oh, come on.
I've seen one image of a hockey's piece then, and it was mentioned that it was 50% off.
Yeah, well, that wasn't the only item. He picked up a couple of items. He made a couple trips over there because the dude just had a whole bunch of stuff in boxes, and I don't think he's updated his prices since the 80s.
Ooh,
so it's kind of interesting.
Off of the 80s.
It was 50% off the 80s.
Never find those guys.
50% off of the 80s. So Bobby was like, Bobby literally abandoned me at the table a couple of times to go over. He goes, hold on, I got to go back over there. Let me see if he's got anything else. So Bobby, like I said, Bobby will give a little more details. But yeah, he was able to find a couple of items there. He was able to enjoy himself a little bit. So that's why I say, maybe this is kind of a thing, Brandon, that you're familiar with. A show can be successful a couple different ways. It can be a successful selling show. It can also be a successful buying show. So when I went in, I went in with an open mind. I don't care, because the truth is, if somebody had come by me with something that would have been of interest, I would have been happy to buy it. Even if it would have meant I left with less money than when I started. But if I get the right things, it doesn't matter, because I would still be successful, because maybe I've got a different venue where that item could go. So the reality is it still works out the same. In this case, it was a successful selling show. I did buy the one card there that I was able to. And again, Grail of Grails as well, of course.
Grail of Grails.
But overall, it ended up being mostly a selling show for me. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have been open to a buying show if the right items had come across. Having all the wrestling stuff, if somebody had come by to me with some interesting wrestling stuff, I would have bought it. Because at least I understand that, and I know kind of what I'm looking for, and if the right stuff. So you never know. You're kind of advertising that this is what I'm into. This is what I want to see. And if someone wants to bring that by, and I wouldn't have been opposed to trading under the right circumstances. So if you leave all your options open, then you've got a lot of different ways where it could be successful for you.
Yeah, I've always looked at it, and like you said, it's cool to have both ends of, or both sides of the table, I guess. And Eric, even like, I don't know if you've ever shut up a show, but you get the same. It's not the same vibe, but it's very similar working at the shop. You know, people are going to be coming in and buying and selling or whatever. But what I've always found is selling at a small show as a dealer is a lot of fun. You're not going to get as many people bringing cards up to your table, but you will have some that will be like, you know, hey, are you buying? Hey, are you trading? And that aspect is still there. I think it's much more relaxed at a small show selling, especially, you know, unless you're dealing in the higher end stuff. So I've always enjoyed that setting up at a smaller show. I've never set up at Chantilly. I've always approached Chantilly as take the more expensive cards that I want to get rid of and scout out the floor. And especially, you know, with SGC's obviously got a bit more popularity today, but when I first started using them, I would scout the floor and see what dealers have SGC in their display cases, because then I know that they're going to be accepting of buying SGC, where, it used to be hard to move them. So I would always find it was easier to negotiate on that end at the show from the buyer side of the table, but as a seller. So I would look and target, like, I knew what I had with me, I knew what dealers were interested in, and then I would go to those dealers. I wouldn't go to a dealer that had nothing but PSA or nothing but BGS, be like, hey man, you want to buy a bunch of SGC, because you're going to get turned down. So there's different strategies to take, and I think, it's if there's new people out there that are listening to us, hit different types of shows. Maybe hit a smaller local show. If y'all have a regional show, try it out. And then if you want to go to the upper scale, go to the national or whatever. But you're going to see that each of those shows offer much different experiences. And then you can figure out what works best for you.
Absolutely. And I will say one thing that I thought was helpful from my end of it was just having the experience of having attended so many shows in general, even if it's as a
Mm-hmm.
patron, just being around. And again, being on the other side of the table, not necessarily setting up with my stuff, but helping out friends with their setup or
Yeah,
whatever.
you've seen
It,
Brad and
it's a
yeah.
comfort. Yeah, it's a comfort level. And then my buddy Steve, who Eric knows, like they set up at all the expos and they've got showcases and showcases. So that's a much more complicated
Did you put
operation.
inventory control numbers on your stuff, or like so
I
Bobby
did.
knew if you walked
I
away?
did. I did. Well, so real quick, I'll tell you a good story about that. Because look, I may have invoked the inventory control number conversation. It may have come up. It might have come allegedly. It might come up.
I
So
didn't know nothing about it. I was just making a joke.
well, I'm glad you brought. Look, that's why I was saying if you got questions, it may invoke a quick story that I may be able to relay. So in this case, it works out. So Bobby, so the way our table worked is that we kind of split it kind of 50-50, the way the table worked out is because I had my five row box, which takes up a bit of space. But again, it helped and kind of alleviated my load. I had another shoe box there with the 75 cent and then the stuff that's top loaded. And then we had a showcase in the middle where Bobby put some stuff in, I put some stuff in. So we both loaded up with different things. Bobby's going to be mostly different types of items, some autographs, some trinkets, pucks, all kinds of different stuff. And he had some stuff there as well. So he's got a mix and match. We only had a certain amount of room to work with. So Bobby brought enough stuff to fill it up and then also have more stuff if he needed to for whatever. So fine. But Bobby had all his stuff priced, which great, perfect. And I had my stuff priced, great. And Bobby knew exactly how my stuff. So if I need to step away, Bobby knew exactly what the different ones were. And I was like, yeah, if somebody wants to knock something off, go for it. We had that conversation early. So that way I was able to make sure that everybody knew exactly what was. So if I needed to leave the table, Bobby would be able to take care of it, no problem. Everything was priced already, and he'd be able to negotiate. When Bobby stepped away, I had somebody come by and take a look at one of the items that he had. I think it was some WHA stuff, and it was all inside of this big top loader. So it was I think a program and some other stuff. So he had a price on it, and the guy, I think it was, if memory serves me, I think it was $65 was the price tag. And they asked if we would be good with 50. Now, in theory, seems reasonable enough to me, depends. But Bobby had stepped away for a moment. So we hadn't had the conversation yet. So I don't know. So take notes, people who've been in the hobby for 40 years. I don't know what his comfort level is on discounting on the price tag. I can see what the price tag is. I know if it was me where I would be able to go, but I don't know what he has into it, if anything. So I'm not going to assume anything. I tell them, hey, let me reach out to him. I wasn't able to reach out to him directly. I go, hey, come back in about 5-10 minutes. Come back around and we'll see. In the end, they came back around a little bit after. I pointed them out to Bobby. They made the deal for the $50. No problem. And then after I said to him, hey, for this stuff, what do you want to say? Yeah, we got a little bit of leeway, give or take this. Right? Now I know. If there's another question, now I know kind of what the leeway is and where you're comfortable on it. And he goes, yeah, within this range is fine. Just have that conversation. That's all you got to do. Because he's got it priced, I know percentage wise what the room is on it. So if for whatever reason somebody wants to do a deal there, a deal can still be completed. And I know exactly where to go. And we avoided the inventory control number. Very, very unfortunateness. Very unfortunateness. rookie moves, rookie mistakes. People who don't know what they're doing at these card shows. Could you imagine? Just imagine. So all you have to do is really just have one quick conversation, ask one question, and you pretty much got it covered. It's not that hard. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just some words of the wise, some wisdom that I thought we would share to people who it may benefit. So it was funny. That's why I say it was funny that you brought it up. We had it's like, are you sure you don't want to have some good inventory control numbers that you want me to use? I can use those as reference. Might work out. But those are, I think, some good lessons learned. And again, don't stay at the Overlook Hotel. Don't do that. No, not great. So
Where
I think
you're gonna stay next time when you go there, though.
So I think next time I might just have to do the Uber. I don't want to, but I think
Yeah, right.
Look, listen, I don't think I want to take my chances with the Overlook again.
Yeah.
The caretaker might come back. The caretaker
right.
might come back. I was sitting there, and when I went to the guy at the front counter, I was sitting there like, I have met few people that are less interested in what they're doing in their life than this man. I was like, there could be somebody dead somewhere around here, and I'm not sure you'd get to it today. Oh, my favorite, I almost forgot. Usually, because in the area where they are, it's a big kind of commercial area. So there's a lot of commercial buildings and stuff, and it's a Sunday. So the weekend, there's not much activity going on around. There's a couple of restaurants, but they're a little bit away. You got to go over there. So where they are, there's not a lot of places to get much. So I was like, all right, I grabbed some dinner, and I said, all right, let me grab a couple of bottles of water so that I can, be able to drink it in the evening and then have it for the morning. Normal thing I do with a lot of these hotels. They don't have anything except a vending machine. All right, fine, sure. I go in, sold out. It's like, it's 7 p.m. on a Sunday and you're already sold out. You've got nothing. Nothing. Ah, man, at least I'm going to be parched when I get murdered by the axe guy. This is unfortunate. This is tragic. At least I could have been hydrated. Jerks. So not good. No bueno, Brennan. No bueno. It was an interesting situation. Oh, and one more thing I almost forgot. They have Wi-Fi. Good. The password was given there in the room. Good. They don't tell you what network it's on. They got a little book, and on the book it says, go to the front counter to get the network. I'm like, but there was a network that said hotel. That seems legit. I was like, I'm going to use my data. We're okay. We're not even going to worry about it. That's why I didn't bother trying to upload any video or anything from the room. I was like, no, we're not going to bother with this. The good news is I had plenty of data, so it was fine. And my data actually worked fine. So I was watching some YouTube and stuff and chatting on the Discord and all that. But I was like, not the best pre-hotel experience at the Overlook. The show was good. But the Overlook Hotel didn't quite, left something to be desired. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it sounds it.
So, lessons learned for all. So, we'll talk more about it on Friday. Bobby will be able to give a little bit more of the lay of the land from his perspective. And then in addition to that, he'll be able to talk about some of the deals he was able to make, which is really good. And as I said, I think we'll be able to, more than likely as we talk, we'll probably more stories or interactions will probably come to mind as we go. But I wanted to give some of mine kind of that stuck with me, high level, and those were some of those ones. I would say if you have a chance, though, it's kind of a fun experience. It is a different way of doing about it. For me, since I was setting up real quick, I didn't have a ton of time to build up too much inventory there. But at the same time, as a collector, I don't normally build up much inventory. So I think it was still very successful, considering I kind of had to go in different boxes and find different things. Still was able to put together enough stuff to make it work. But yeah, in another attempt, I would adjust a little bit and then go that way. But it was an enjoyable experience. And also, I think whoever you share table with, that's what you're going to do, I think is also going to be critical. Bobby was very good because he was already prepared. He had his stuff ready to go. And at the same time, between the two of us, we were able to pretty quickly coordinate. It didn't take a lot of work for us to figure out what we wanted to do. And he had his ideas of how he was set up. And then between the two of us, we made it work. So I think if you've got that communication down, I think that will make it a lot easier. That way one person can step away, the other person can hold court, and then vice versa. And then when we were there, we were just BSing. Eric texted us just to see how things were going. We were able to say, yep, we're having some laughs, hanging out. And then Brad came in, we chatted, and as people came by, we were able to have some conversations, and it was a good experience overall.
It's good. Yeah, I've never done a show, but I'm sure, Brandon said it's probably just very similar to working at the shop.
Who would he?
But I don't sell enough. You know, I'm a hoarder. I collect. I don't sell. I just sold a 68 Bobby Orr card recently at the shop because a customer that's a really good customer came in, and it's like I need it to, finish that O-Pee-Chee set, and I'm like, I got two. I could probably sell you one, and I sold it to him way too cheap. Because I want to be a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He's a good customer for the store. It's going to help my boss out. Right. And I sold it for $150 when I probably could have got 250.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not good at it.
And you were just giving me shit about $5?
Yeah, but you do it for a living. I'm an idiot. So
you lack the ruthlessness.
Yeah.
So
I could probably do it better, probably with strangers, but I don't know. So I sold it for $150. Immediately went off and bought $150 worth of stuff. So whatever. But no, I've never. I've probably sold less than 20 things in my entire collecting life. So
there you go.
Doesn't make sense for me to have a table.
That's fair. I think it'd be interesting. Now I will say one last thing kind of close off on. As I said, as part of the lessons learned, now that I know that it would probably behoove me to mix and match the inventory a little bit, one of the things that I did already is I am scouring for some lots that I may pick up in order to fill in a little bit of the gaps. Now I will say, one of the lots that I picked up, and this may come into play at some point, may contain a number of different dude love items. I'm not saying that comes into play somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just throwing out there that there may be some dude love in one of these lots.
Okay. I haven't heard anything on that front, but maybe at the end of the week by Friday, maybe I'll send a text message to the people who are trying to bring autograph guests in to the show and see if they've made any headway with him or not.
Yes. Like I said, I'm not making reference to anything in particular. I'm just throwing out that there's some dude love there. The Emmanuel and Spaces on back order. We might need to do like a mix. You can have like an autograph card and an autograph Emmanuel in Space with the inscription. Great movie. Thanks for sharing it, Eric.
He'll sign the card. I don't think he's going to sign the DVD or whatever the hell it is.
Says you. When we get the inscription that says, "Thanks for sharing the movie recommendation, Eric. Great time. Dude love." Just don't be shocked if this comes into play. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so that'll be more of a reference for Friday. We'll have a little more fun with that. But that is a true story. I looked at the lot, the image on it, and I was like, I see some dude love. I think this would all come together beautifully.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, it's chef's kiss. Fantastic.
Yeah.
On this Mayo Monday, no less. Fantastic. Glorious. So that's it for this time around. We'll mix up and match on the topics a little bit. I spent a good chunk of the time talking about this card show experience since I hadn't been to one of those, and the Overlook Hotel, and I live to tell the tale. Jack Nicholson hasn't tracked me down yet. Give it time. But for now, we did avoid that fate. But nonetheless, Brandon, Bobbles and Ball Cards, known associate of 540 Flips. You can follow him. He's got his various social medias. We've got the links in the description. You've got Eric, who is running away from the Red Rum Kid, at Sanderson Orr. You can leave your feedback with him. And don't forget to hit the like button. He pays for it because that's what keeps the axe murderers away. True story. Episode number 94. Next one's 95. Brandon, getting close to 100. Getting dangerously close. Getting dangerously close. 100.
I'm quitting at 99.
Well, here's the thing. You guys, real quick, final thing at the end. This is a little bonus content for those of you who stuck around here at the end. Thank you for checking out. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, a little bonus content here at the end. So one thought I had. So 5 more episodes. Well, 6 more episodes. I guess 94, and then say 5 or 6. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so we're in the middle of September. I always love you in the live stream. I always like talking about the spooktacular. But if you add in the episodes to get to 100, isn't that actually pretty close to the end of October? Isn't that mathematically like it's pretty close, isn't
where
it?
are we at?
Because the next one's 95. So next week would be 95.
The actual spectacular, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like calendar wise, it might actually be pretty close, because the next week would be 95, and then you'd be 5 more episodes after that. So 2, 3. I'm just looking here.
It looks like at this moment 100 would be filmed on October the 28th.
That's a spectacular.
Yeah, I was gonna say that feels like it's pretty close. It's pretty close to bang on. You know, either way, it's like I think it's a pretty solid bonus.
And then it would drop on the 29th, and then a week after that, and we talking about spooky, is election day.
Oh, that's gonna be spooky.
Well, that's frightening in a different way. That's frightening for a different reason.
Oh, listen, we're screwed no matter what. So it's gonna be scary.
But no, if my math is correct, we are at 94, 95, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Yep, 100 would be the last week of
100 October. Falls on the week of the legitimate spooktacular. Oh my God! I was excited about Mayo Monday. Do you have any idea how excited I'll be about a Mayo Monday on the same week that it can be a spooktacular? This is like my dream.
2 weeks prior to that, so episode 98, we would be recording on Indigenous People Day for one of the viewers, Indigenous Cards.
You're talking about October 14th?
Yeah.
That's also Canadian Thanksgiving. And you know what I'll be thankful Columbus for? Day. Episode 1. I'll also be thankful for episode 100 on the Spooktacular. That's what I'm thankful for, Eric. I'm very excited now. I am extremely excited by this turn of events. All right. So that was a little bonus content for y'all. I was just realizing that we were getting close. I was like, oh my God, can this actually be? Could it be that we follow the week of the Spooktacular? The legit Spooktacular? And that also means
to holiday season.
Man, it's getting exciting. It's getting good. All right. So this episode is always brought to you by AMG Collectibles, amgcollectibles.ca, and the AMG Collectibles YouTube channel. We thank them for supporting the podcast and the YouTube channel. Have yourselves a good one. We'll catch you in episode 95. Take it easy.